Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Louisiana Gameday, your one-stop shop for all things Louisiana College football. From the 337 to the 318, the 225 to the 504, we are here to tell you what is going on this Saturday in the boot. I know we got a lot of bye weeks this week, but that doesn't mean football stops because football is a year-round, every day, every week sport. So we are here to tell you what to expect from all your favorite Louisiana College football teams. I'm joined by a couple of my buddies here to tell you about what's going on with the Raging Cajuns, what's going on in the HBCU landscape, and then my name is Bryce. I'll be steering the ship today and tell you what's going on with the LSU Tigers a little bit later on because we have a lot to talk about the boys in Baton Rouge. Usually our man Dusty with the science is here. He could not make it today, so I'll quickly cover ULM. The Warhawks last week get a big win over Arkansas State. If you're a WWE fan, you'll understand this reference. They were the Brock Lesnar to the Undertaker. 15 years in a row, Arkansas State had taken down the Warhawks, and they came back with a vengeance last week, beat them 28-16. The run game for the Warhawks has been phenomenal. McReynolds has been great on the ground, and then they kind of just played old school football last week. I mean, it was defense and run game is what it was. They played phenomenal defense, and they had a game on the ground that allowed them to beat Arkansas State. This week they're taking on Northwestern. Obviously, when you're taking on, a school like Northwestern, who maybe isn't a big powerhouse program, but they have the advantage of being in a big time conference. Anytime you beat a team like that, that's a win. You can think of it similar to UCLA. UCLA is 0-4 right now. They don't look good. They just fired their coach, but it's still a big time program and a big time conference. So if you could beat a team like that, it would do a lot for you, both as a program and nationwide. So to me, I think ULM has a chance today. Northwestern, again, not a great team. We saw them face off against Tulane, and Tulane, beat them whistle to whistle earlier this season. 2-2 team in Northwestern, 3-1 in ULM. Obviously, not on the same level as far as nationwide recognition, but I think ULM has a shot today. The best part about ULM this year is, they're sitting here with 3 wins. I looked at their schedule. I would favor them in 4 more matchups. So even if they don't win today, you got a chance at 6 or 7 wins, which means you're going bowling. And anytime a school like ULM can make it to a bowl game, that's a good season. And you can keep on building on it. I think they finally found a culture that works for them. They finally found a head coach who's willing to put in the time, put in the effort, and find the resources to make them a great program up in the 3-1-8. Sticking in the 3-1-8, my guy No Chill, Grambling last week, not the performance we were hoping for. So what's going on up in Grambling, Louisiana?
Yeah. Before we move on, major shout out to ULM winning the inaugural Rice Bowl. Nobody else can ever take that away from them.
Want to know,
Hey,
baby. Want to know.
Arkansas State, suck it. But yeah, let's talk about Grambling. Do a little recap here of the State Fair Classic where they took on Prairie View. In this game, Prairie View led from wire to wire. Grambling kept the game within grasp through the first half, but untimely turnovers killed drives. And later on in the game, turnovers actually led to the separation that we saw. Grambling still found ways to be in this game going into the first half, going into halftime, rather, down only 1 possession at 14-6. After a few punts back and forth in the third, a fumble by Grambling gave Prairie View the ball at the 1, gift wrapping the Panthers 7 points. Later in the game, Prairie View scored on a 15-yard touchdown run to put this thing completely away at 28-13. I actually skipped one of the scores where Grambling found its way back midway through the fourth. They T-set hit Keith Jones Jr. on a 16-yard touchdown pass, brought the score to 21-13, again putting them back into 1 possession. And like I said, Prairie View scored on a 15-yard touchdown run to go up 28-13, and that was ball game at that point. Offensively, Grambling isn't wowing the stat sheet, but They have some a semblance of a balance, and they're able to keep the games competitive. In this game, um, they suffered 4 turnovers and 4 3-and-outs. That is a measure for disaster. As you know, we spoke last week and said you have to play mistake-free football or as mistake-free as possible. And of course, 4 turnovers, 4 3-and-outs is far from that. On several of those 3-and-outs, they didn't score. Well, actually, on I think 2 of them, they didn't even move the ball. It was either negative or 0 yards gain. Um, they had 33 carries for 105 yards. The fumble was like a 25-yard loss, so that factors in there as well. Passing, they were 21 to 43, 161 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Defensively, now Grambling was placed in some bad spots by the offense, but had some bright spots. They forced 3 fumbles, recovered 2. They had Prairie View to under 50% completion, and they held Prairie View to 2 of 9 on 3rd downs. So where do we go from here? Grambling is off this week, and they head to homecoming next week, where they take on Texas Southern, a Texas Southern team that's kind of been struggling. Texas Southern has a game today against Arkansas Pine Bluff that may be winnable. We'll see if they come in with a little momentum or if they come in down off a slump. So
Yeah, so
that's what we're waiting for with Grambling.
the cool thing about that Texas Southern matchup today is they play Prairie View. So
Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again, Grambling has this unfortunate situation where they had to take on the cream of the crop when it comes to the SWAC. I mean, every year, like even if you're not a SWAC guy, even if you don't pay attention to down south HBCU football, then you still know Prairie View is kind of a school that makes waves. So they had to take on that team. They get a bye week, time to reset, and then they'll play a Texas Southern team who got to, face a challenge in Pine Bluff this week. So we'll see what goes on in that game. If you guys want to keep up with HBCUs, not just Louisiana based, but all HBCUs around the SWAC, make sure to follow No Chill on X. I was diving into a little bit of the data you were putting on there this morning. So talk about the kind of the landscape of HBCUs and what we can expect moving towards the middle to end of the season.
Yeah. Speaking of Prairie View, just to kind of talk about them a little bit more, the last, I think, since 2020, since COVID, out of the SWAC West, your West champions have either been Prairie View or Southern. Southern's not in it this year.
Yeah, that's where we were going next. Trust me.
They have a chance. Southern still has, as bad as they've played so far, they still have a chance, but they're not in it as of this moment. Prairie View looks to be leading. Prairie View actually takes on Alcorn State, who was actually my pick preseason to make it to the SWAC West side of the championship. Alcorn has not won a game. So it is not, well, I'll take that back. No, they didn't.
Long
they
way
lost
from
last
Steve
week.
McNair.
Yeah, they lost last week actually to crap. UAPB. There you go. So yeah, the SWAC East is actually up for grabs today. I know it's early, but there are some teams that can separate themselves. Alabama State takes on Bethune-Cookman. It's Alabama State's homecoming, so that's going to be interesting in itself. Bethune-Cookman made a change at quarterback. Go figure, making a change at quarterback.
Oh, we'll get into that. Waves. Don't you worry.
They made a change at quarterback, and they have been rolling ever since. And when I say rolling, as you saw in the stats, their points per game jumped almost 20 points. Their production jumped 100+ yards. So Bethune-Cookman has been making waves. They are taking on Alabama State. Alabama A&M is taking on Jackson State, and that is a game in the last 3 seasons where the first half and the second half have been polar opposites. Jackson State has won the first half like 30-7. Alabama A&M has won the second half like 29-7. So it's a very close game. 1 possession, maybe 2 possessions, depending on the year. But this game is going to be very interesting. This will be the first time where Connell Maynor, who kind of poked the bear when he put a pink scooter on the field for Dion when Dion was going through some foot surgeries, and kind of sparked a little rivalry. He is no longer with Alabama A&M. They have a former Alabama Crimson Tide DB. Sam Shade is now the head coach. Sam Shade comes in with a little bit um, of winning tradition, as he was at Miles, was able to get Miles to the SIAC championship, actually get them to the playoffs. In the playoffs, he was able to win, I think, the first game, end up losing to, was it Valdosta State, who is now coached by, well, was coached in by Prairie View's head coach. So it's all kind of a 6 degrees of separation.
The circle of life. Yeah. I mean, it all comes back somehow.
Yeah, but yeah, so it is all kind of up for grabs today. A lot of teams can separate themselves. I'm looking forward to seeing how today shakes out. If it shakes out how we think, this is really going to shape up for a very, very interesting October and November, as Alabama State will be soon going to take on Jackson State for Jackson State's homecoming. And that also has some history. A few years ago, Alabama State's head coach rebuffed Deion Sanders, gave him the stiff arm during the handshake line, told him, hey, we scheduled y'all for homecoming. You know, you came and beat us. I hope y'all schedule us for homecoming. Jackson State, the later year, scheduled Alabama State for homecoming and went into Jackson State and beat them. Jackson State rescheduled them again this year for homecoming, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this thing shakes out. SWAC East is going to be very, very interesting. Not as interesting as the West, and we can move on to Southern if you want to.
Yeah, keeping on that theme of Jackson State, I mean, they seem to keep on poking their heads up. And you know, and last week's preview before the Southern game with Jackson State, we said, hey, look, passing game's not going to matter. Got to play defense. You got to keep the ball clean, and you got to keep the ball on the ground. That seemed to be incorrect when it comes to Jackson State, because their offense just did whatever they wanted against Southern. 330 yards passing, 200 yards rushing, no turnovers. I mean, they really just put it to the Jaguars. If it wasn't for Trey Holly, Southern might have not scored. You know, he was definitely a bright point. Had a 73-yard rushing touchdown. Had 7 yards, had 7 yards per carry outside of that touchdown still.
Yeah.
So he had a great game. But outside of that, I mean, the Jaguars couldn't do anything against the team up north.
Yeah. And it's almost like Bryce, you read my notes verbatim. Southern showed signs of life, keeping the game within reach in the first quarter. Trey Holly gave Southern life with a huge 73-yard run, giving Southern at the time a 13-7 lead in the second quarter. Late in that quarter, after a previous field goal, Jackson State scored on a touchdown pass and went up 17-13 going into half, and they never looked back. They end up winning the game 38-13, making it 7 in a row over the Jags. Offensively, Southern is a one-trick pony, as we've already stated. It used to be the running game, Trey Holly and Franklin. At this point, it is Trey Holly or bust. Holly had 11 carries, 147 yards. Like you mentioned, if you take away that 73-yard run, he has 10 carries for 71 yards. That is still a really good day and
Absolutely.
a touchdown. They swapped quarterbacks to Ashton Struther. He was 10 of 20 for 120 yards and an interception. On third down, they were 3 of 12, 25%, basically giving Jackson State the ball back. I mean, and setting them up to do whatever they want. Defensively, Southern couldn't stop a sentence. If they had appeared and threw it at it, exclamation point, didn't matter. They couldn't stop it. Jacobian Morgan, and you kind of jinxed this one. We talked about it last week. You were like, hey, he hadn't thrown a touchdown.
Don't blame me. Southern had to put the product on the field now.
Yeah. He showed up and showed out. 21 of 31, 337, 2 touchdowns. As a team, Jackson State, 42 carries, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns. They were 7 of 13 on third downs. That is, I mean, they punted the ball one time, one the entire game. They either scored a touchdown or had a field goal attempt. Uh, the only thing that I can say about this game, um, there were times where the defense was out there, they would get a stop, and then all of a sudden, nothing more would happen. And there will be a penalty, and it looks like Southern's going to take the ball, kind of do something with it, and nothing would happen. Now, at this point, up next for Southern, they've got Bethune-Cookman in on October 11th. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. That looked to be a winnable game at one point, but if Southern can't right the ship in their second bye week of the season, it's going to be a very long off season.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it though. Southern's not technically out of it. So what would it have to look like for Southern to make some noise in the SWAC?
Oh man, they've got some games they've got to win that are coming up next. I'm pulling up their schedule now so we can just kind of break down. They've got the Bethune-Cookman game. They've got to find a way to win that one. That's a very winnable game. They've got Prairie View. They've got to find either win that game or hope Prairie View loses a few more games. They've got to beat FAMU, who FAMU has been abysmal so far this season. They've got Arkansas Pine Bluff. That is also a winnable game. They've got Alcorn. That's a winnable game. They've got Texas Southern. That's a winnable game. So, and then they finish the season with Grambling, who is a rivalry and also has struggled. So, of their next, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 games. They've got 6 games that I honestly think they have a chance to win. Let's see if they can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Boombox Classic, they got blown out, but that doesn't stop them. They still got a chance for the rest of the year, like you're talking about. We've talked about it with other teams as well, and I mean, it's a cliche in the game of football. If you're going to lose, do it early. So if they can right the ship now and get back on track and win 6 or 7 more games, that puts them at 7-3, 8-3, and that's a team that can contend to find their way into the SWAC championship.
So also with that, because I didn't talk about on the Grambling side, Grambling actually still is in the running for the West. They've got Texas
Sure.
Southern, Pine Bluff. They've got Jackson State, Alabama A&M, Bethune-Cookman, Alcorn, and Southern. It's a little bit harder on their side because they're taking on 2 teams in the East who are expected to compete in the East. So it's a little bit tougher for them, but yeah, it's still a lot on the line that we've got that Grambling has ahead of them. Southern has a easier path, but it's only easy if you make something happen with it. You take care of your opportunities.
Yeah, yeah. Going from a game that obviously offense didn't look great to a game that put up some of the most points we've seen all season. CST, talk to us about what we saw with the Cajuns and Marshall.
Yeah, we finally scored, and it didn't come from Daniel Beal. Daniel Beal did okay in the first half. And then he came out in the second half, threw 2 back-to-back picks, one of them being a pick six, and then Lunch Winfield finally came in, and he proved to us that he can actually play quarterback. Like me and Abdul were talking about it on the last podcast, that Lunch didn't seem like he could throw or anything, and he comes in, goes 7 for 13, 125 with 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he also has 3 rush touchdowns. So he came in and proved that he can be the starter, and he should be the starter from now on. I don't know why that hasn't been announced yet, but Daniel Beal should not play another snap this season.
Shout out Lunch Winfield,
Yeah,
state championship winner in the state of Louisiana.
Yep.
From the River Parishes, went to Letcher High School. So we always cheer for the Louisiana guys, and it's cool to see one of them start to shine, especially in a big old game like that. That got some national attention.
Yeah, it was a great offensive game. Defense still needs some work. Our defense still keeps allowing the running backs to rush for their most career yards this season. So Michael Allen had 19 carries for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns with the longest 68. Also couldn't stop the quarterback running. Rio Wilson had 81 yards rushing. Our corners did good. Besides, they could not stop the top dude. The top dude had 146 yards with 2 touchdowns. Just couldn't contain him all night. He had 10 catches. Everyone else was under 50 yards. So the defense did good. Just need to work on the running game. But yeah, we finally scored. Finally took out a win in the win column. It's been a while, so should be rolling on from there.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about that running game, adding in Lunch Winfield to that offense opens
Yeah.
up a whole new level of the run game
It's a
because
total new offense.
obviously we knew Zylan Perry and Bill Davis. We know those guys are probably going to find their way into an NFL training camp next year. Those are high level running backs who have performed all season for the Cajuns. And now we see Lunch Winfield come out there. I mean, he had 130 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Like when your quarterback can put up 300 all-purpose yards and 4 or 5 all-purpose touchdowns, that's somebody you want to see on the field. And I think it gives the Cajuns a little bit of, excitement for the rest of this year because, I mean, there hasn't been much excitement yet.
Yeah, if Lunch Winfield opens up the whole offense, we can do whatever we run, pass, whatever we need to do.
Yeah. To go from a school who, I mean, they just got mollywopped against Missouri 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever that was, to now being able to score 50 plus points. Obviously 2 different calibers of teams you're playing there between Marshall and Missouri, but it's still an exciting thing to see when the whole season has just been injury after injury after injury to now you're finally getting able to unlock your team and show a little bit of life.
Yeah, we got a big test next week going against James Madison. So see how that goes. Hopefully Lunch Winfield starts so we can keep that game competitive.
Yeah, obviously UL is on a bye week this week along with Tulane and LSU. So the quote-unquote powerhouses of Louisiana are not being shown this week on national television. However, there's still teams playing in Louisiana, so you got to pay attention to everybody. We talked about ULM earlier. And if you miss any episode, always make sure to come back and watch us. You can watch us right back on YouTube. The Kneaux, Kneaux, the only way to spell it. Listen, Eric joined in a couple minutes ago. He's not on camera right now, but once we get to LSU, I know he will be talking because he put out a preview earlier this week that you can go back and watch via our website or on any social media. Before we get into me standing on my soapbox and going off about the Tigers, let's do our road dog. So in case you haven't seen us before, our road dog segment is where we go nationwide beyond the scope of just the boot. And we pick a school who's going on the road who is a betting underdog for that week. If you want to miss your bet, listen to me. I've hit one all season. And that one I just kind of got lucky. I missed another one last week with UCF and Kansas State. All things pointed to UCF not only covering, but winning that game. And that's how you know football is only played on the field because paper means nothing. Kansas State whips them and turns around their season from going 0-3 to now they're 2-3. So again, if you want to miss your bet, listen to me. But to me, I try to use logic as much as I can. Iowa State is the number 14 team in the country. They are 5-0 in the Big 12, and they're taking on a Cincinnati team who is unranked. I know Cincinnati's quarterback is very good. Okay. I know that they put Nebraska to the test at the beginning of the season. That's their only loss, and now they keep winning. However, Rocco Becht is so fun to watch. Matt Campbell is a great coach and has established a winning culture in Iowa. So I'm going to take Iowa State plus 1.5. So it's basically a pick 'em against Cincinnati today as they're going on the road as a 5-0 team. Banyan, you are the best bettor on this podcast. I need you to give us a pick today so the people don't feel left out.
All right, let's go. I finally got one wrong 2 weeks ago with Illinois. That was just embarrassing, to say the least, against Indiana. But this week I actually got Mississippi State plus 16.5 against A&M. Last week, both A&M didn't look that well against Auburn, only won by 6 points. And the Mississippi State played against Tennessee, one of the best offenses in the league, and they went to overtime with them and lost just in overtime. So I just think that Mississippi State needs to get the running game, the passing game going. They had the good running game last week. They had about, I think, 160, 170 rushing. But yeah, if they can pass the ball over A&M and just stop Marcel Reed, I think they should cover 6. That's way too much, 16.5, especially after both teams played last week. So yeah, Mississippi State plus 16.5.
I agree. It's one of our road to the playoff games we'll cover at the very end of the episode. And Spoiler alert, I will be tailing you on that Mississippi State plus 16.5.
And then I got
Before we
also real quick.
go ahead. Go for it.
Let me see. Oh yeah, it was. Let's see. What was it? He has Virginia covering against Louisville plus 6.5.
That's, I think, also one of our road to the playoff games, which I will be tailing. So if I see anything here, I'm making good picks so far because I'm usually bad and I'm agreeing with you guys. Before we move on to the next pick, I want to say what's up, Dave. First time on the podcast. How are you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm working today, but I was listening to y'all. I had a minute to step away, so I thought I'd jump on.
I like it. Do you have a road dog for us, Davey?
So I took Virginia outright today. I'm a big Chandler Morris guy. I love Chandler Morris. He was really good at UNT. I'm also, you know this about me, Bryce. I'm gonna take my Canes minus 4.5 today. I think listen, Tommy Castellanos is a fun college quarterback, right? They got some playmakers in Deuce Robinson and things like that on Florida State. But I think Miami wins the battle on both lines pretty handedly, especially with Ruben Bain on the defensive side and Francis Malinois on the offensive side. And I believe in Carson Beck, even though he hasn't shown his best game yet this year. I think Florida State keeps it close for a good bit of the game, but I think Miami ends up pulling away 4.5. In this rivalry, the better team usually wins, and I think Miami just has the better team. So I'm gonna go Miami. It was 4.5 last I checked. It's fluctuated a little bit throughout the week, so I'm not sure what it's at today.
I saw it at 4.5 this morning as well. Because again, a road to the playoffs games, guys, we are really good at this. I love how much we all agree on everything. No chill. What's your road dog?
All right. I've got two. The first one is Colorado plus 13.5 going to TCU. I don't think Colorado wins this game at all. Don't get me wrong. I think that Colorado is going to get beat. The game is not going to be close. Well, the game is not going to be in jeopardy for TCU. But I think 13.5 is a lot for a Colorado team that has put up fight in just about every game they've played this season. I like them to cover that 13.5. I don't know which quarterback they're going to roll out of there. All three of them seem to be pretty good and seem to be able to have some kind of continuity. So roll the dice, put all three out there, and they'll still cover this. My second one, just simply because it's pure hatred. This line would have been easy when it first came out at 22.5. But there's no way that I'm going to let this day go by without throwing some kind of hate at the University of Alabama. First off, you suck. I hate you. Let's go Vanderbilt plus 12.5. I'm taking it.
You suck. I hate you. What a line. Love it. Absolutely love it.
That was the nicest words I could think of. I mean, cartoons are still on, so I can't say what I want to say. But
genuinely the nicest thing I can say about Bama. I love it. Yeah, listen, if you want to put all those into a parlay and just be upset when one leg misses because I gave you the wrong pick, go for it. If not, just take them straight up and you'll win more money than you lose. Listen, our Tulane guy, Patty V, he's not here, but his best friend and his co-host on Bro Bros, which if you have not checked out yet, please do. Great follow on TikTok with the clips they put out. Very fun. That is Bro Bros, which is not spelled how you or brew or bro.
BR. It's spelled the Louisiana way.
Spelled the Louisiana way.
IEUX.
There it is.
But then
Thank you.
But then bros is spelled the normal way, so I'm not sure why we did one the right way.
Yeah, I've always been confused, but I've never taken it because it's fun, it's exciting, and the studio looks great. So if you guys want some so if you guys want some high quality content and some fun conversation, just go listen to them. Do you have anything to support the Green Wave on their bye week?
I just want to give a shout out to Javen Gordon for his performance last week. That was kind of his coming out party. I think it was 13 for like 75 or 73 yards, something around that, for 3 touchdowns as a true freshman. They're playing Tulsa, so it is what it is, right, against that competition. But I mean, as a true freshman, there's been a lot of Mekhi Hughes talk over the last couple days with him, requesting the red shirt at Oregon. And listen, I love Mekhi Hughes, and take him back. Trust me, I
Yeah,
would
come back.
do it.
Why not?
but um, that's a talented player that you have to replace, and for a true freshman to step in and do what he's doing, I mean, that's really the biggest takeaway from that game. Retzlaff had, I think, 270 in the air. He's still trying to find it with his receivers. I'm kind of, if they get anything done over this bye week, I'm hoping that the passing game can kind of get a little more consistent. Listen, they had a wide receiver room last year with Keith Brown and Mario Williams. Like it's one of the best, not even just group of 5 wide receiver rooms you would have found in the country. Just all around great wide receiver room. And the drop off
Fun
this
to
year, like
watch. Not only good on the
absolutely, man.
field, but just fun to watch.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, and I don't want to come off as disrespectful when I say this. The drop off this year is major.
Yeah.
But like that's expected, right? And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful when I say it. That's just
Listen, Shaz Preston, local cat, very good player. Don't want to disrespect him, but when you're comparing him to the guys from last year,
right. Listen, I mean Mario Williams was getting real playing time at USC, right?
Yeah.
Like these dudes, and then Yo Keith was a 5-star out of Florida, and then went to A&M. Like those dudes were good. So I'm hoping that through this bye week they start to get it together. And we kind of forget that Retzlaff wasn't there the entire offseason, right? Like he was only there for 2 or 3 weeks, if I remember, before the season even started. So it's kind of a work in progress. So hopefully over this bye week they start to get that going. But if not, ground game's been looking great. They're through their hardest part of the schedule. They should be favored in almost every game, maybe until Memphis, the rest of the year. So, let's hope they get that together. Defense looks good. I like where Tulane stands right now, but there is room for some improvement.
Yeah, that's a fun matchup to look at against Memphis because, I mean, whoever wins that game is
That's
heavy
probably the
favorite
yeah.
to get in as the 12 seed in the college football playoff. It's between those two, and then you still got USF and Boise State trying to keep up. But that'll be a fun matchup. Ant Marshall in the chat, Kansas State 4.5 is the road dog. Listen, I missed on Kansas State last week, so if you guys want to hit, probably tail them this week. I mean, listen, betting is not my strong suit. I would never call it my strong suit because I would be lying to you. Continuing on the route of Tulane before I, get too worked up. College Football 26 may have accidentally released some uniforms. Give me your thoughts.
Man, that's one of the ugliest jerseys I think I've ever seen.
It's not good, man. It's
not good. And I know Patty
I love
feels
the idea.
Patty, that's what I told Patty. I know he feels the same way about it. So I'll speak for him here. I said it to him. I was like, it was one of those things where I saw it at first. I was like, I don't know if I hate this or if it's so ugly that I kind of like it. Every now and then they put out one of those kind of jerseys, and it's just I like what they were trying to go for, but the street tiles I don't think look good on anything but the street. And then I don't know, it just everything feels like a miss. Maybe if you change the helmet up, it can look okay.
Maybe.
But I'm not a fan of like the wrong iron on the jerseys. Like it's not for me.
So for me, I thought the jersey itself looked good, except for the nameplate with the street, like the street tiles.
Yeah, I don't like that
If
either.
you change that to, let's say, I mean, obviously the iconic Bourbon Street black metal with the Fleur de Lis and all that, if you change to something more similar to that, maybe it works. I think the sleeves were great. I think they performed on that well. I think the font of the number looked great, but that helmet was one of the worst helmets I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm wondering what they're wearing these for. Like, it's got the beads on it, so like you would think Mardi Gras, but obviously we're not playing during Mardi Gras, so
right.
Like, what do we do it? Why
is there an in-state matchup? Do they have an in-state matchup for the rest of the year?
You'd have to pull it up and look. I'm on my phone.
Let's see.
Let me close it out.
ECU, Army, UTSA, Memphis, FAU, Temple, and Charlotte. None of those teams to me scream, let's wear Mardi Gras jerseys.
It would have, if anything, it would have been the South Alabama game. But
Yeah, if they would have won against South Alabama, that's one thing. But none of these, remaining matchups scream. Let's wear a
no.
New Orleans themed jersey.
And for a school that doesn't miss on uniforms
They
very
already
often,
have one of the best kits.
you
Like,
know,
why are we throwing in anything extra?
no. I've been clamoring for the Grays to come back. I don't know if you remember the Tulane Grays
I don't
from like
personally.
back in the Superdome days. I was a big fan of those. I don't
I
know how
wasn't
the
old
rest of
enough. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Gotcha. I don't know how the rest of the fan base feels about that, but I was a fan of the Grays if they ever want to do something different. But like you said, they don't need to. They're not a school that needs to venture out and do anything crazy.
Yeah. I think we've seen that a lot again with college football. It's just people trying to wear things that aren't them. I was talking to one of my buddies this week. The NFL is doing the same thing with those rivalry jerseys, and it's like the Rams are going to wear black, the Dolphins were wearing black. It's like, I don't know, man. Just stick to your color scheme. Find what works for you.
But those Arizona ones looked good.
I think the helmets were great. The field was great. It just kind
Yeah.
of bothered me that the entire time I watched them, it looked like they had been rained on or they had mold growing on them. Those were the two thoughts. I
Fair.
was like,
Fair.
I almost can't get. I like the color. I like the scheme. I like the idea. Just wasn't quite executed well.
Yeah. I don't want to stick on this because I want to keep your show going, but
Yeah.
there's not much more like terrifying things in as a sports fan than when you find out your team's going to be putting out a new uniform because you just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to look.
Like when the Saints, when we found out they were doing the first alternate helmet and then the black one came out, I was like, not great.
Yeah.
The white one they came out with this year, beautiful, perfect with the color rush. If the golds matched, it would be the best uniform in the NFL, in my opinion. They're slightly off, so it's a little bothersome, but they look great even when they're 0-4. Yeah, I mean, okay. This is Louisiana College Football Game Day, right? We have to talk about Louisiana College football, and you can't move past what we saw last week in Oxford. I'm going to get on my high horse a little bit here. So if you guys need me to slow down or have anything you want to, interject with, please do so. But listen, here's the deal. There's one of two things. No Chill and I were talking about this before we went live. One of two things happened. Either Kneaux is extremely hurt or he's not good. Those are the two options. Because what he's doing right now is not only not NFL caliber, it's not LSU caliber. I mean, you look back at our history of quarterback recently, and you're like, oh, Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, we are set. We're great. You look back before that, Danny Etling, Zach Mettenberger, I think if you put him on this LSU offense, he performs better than Kneaux is right now, personally. Listen, this is what I texted my buddy last week when we were talking about Kneaux, and I was like, he's Danny Etling with crosses on his face. That's what Kneaux is playing like.
But he's doing it in a system that is favorable. If Danny Etling played in his system, Danny Etling would have put up numbers. But
because you think about it like this, look at what Etling did when, and it's crazy that I'm going on a Danny Etling rant on a Saturday morning, but when he got to the NFL in preseason, he was running all over people and he was throwing some dimes. He was almost like Jake Retzlaff, right? I mean, he's not the best passer in the world, but he's going to make it hurt through his legs. If Kneaux had that in his game, we wouldn't be talking like this today. But he is a pure pocket passer who thinks he can run a little bit. He's undersized and he's not throwing the deep ball. And we're using zero motion in the offense. We can't run the ball. So people are talking about Les Miles era. And Les Miles era, at least I knew we were going to win games. At this point, I don't even think we're going to win games. So, one of two options. Kneaux is very hurt and needs to sit, or two, he's not good and needs to sit. Either way, Michael Van Buren needs to find the field. No Chill. I talked to you about this before it started. Give us that poll. So, if you guys didn't see it earlier this week on social media, No Chill put out a poll on X saying, listen, here's 4 quarterbacks, A, B, C, and D. These are their stats. Let me know which one you would pick to develop. Give us the rundown of what you did, how you did it, and maybe what the people can see from what you did. I'm going to put it on the screen right here, so you can look at these stats between A, B, C, and D. Talk to us about what you did here and what the results were.
Yeah, so I went and found some guys who kind of played earlier in their career. just some of the stats and basically talked about the QB learning curve. Because myself and Ant, we've talked before about when we have young quarterbacks. A lot of times people think that every young quarterback that's a 5-star just should come in and play automatically and put up these phenomenal numbers. Well, a lot of times there's a struggle, there's a learning curve. So I picked 4 guys, just simply, and the only reason I picked 4 is because the Twitter poll only lets you pick 4.
Sure.
Put up their numbers, their completions, their I didn't put any context about who these guys were because I didn't want to give it away. But I put their completions, their passing yards, their touchdowns, and interceptions. And as you can see, the touchdown interception rates for all of these guys is not that good. But their yardage numbers are different. Their completion percentages are different, and people kind of went off this. Also, I would have put rushing stats on here as well, but none of these guys had good rushing stats, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I just simply put this up. Hey, which guy do you think would you take? Would you take the guy with the most yards? Would you take the guy with the most touchdowns? Would you take the guy with the least amount of interceptions?
And before you move on, I would like to say I did vote on this before I knew any context. To be honest with you, I didn't even look at the username before I voted on it. I just thought it was a good poll, and then I realized it was one of our own. And I was like, okay, great. I voted for D personally. I think having the same amount of touchdowns as the other guys with less interceptions, and you're putting out the same amount of yards, what you're doing is you're keeping the ball in your offense's hands and being just as good as the other guys as far as scoring the football goes. So that was my thought process. I could see where some people would go C. That was kind of my last 2 were C and D. But I went with D because I thought, hey, he's keeping the ball in his offense's hands. He's scoring just as much as the other team, and he's moving the ball about as much. So I went with D personally.
Yeah, I personally I liked D, but again, I knew who these guys were, so I kind of stayed out of it. I also like C because of the yardage, and he had the higher completion percentage. The caveat about completion percentage, though, and I probably could have gone back and looked at the adjusted, for drop rate, but because depending, you got a new quarterback, a lot of times drops can be a factor. But this is kind of what I put out there, and I think it was pretty surprising the way people picked this. Not a lot of people did this poll. I think A ended up getting like 2 or 3 votes. B got no votes, which is hilarious to me. C was a person that got the most votes, and D was second. And
so the whole irony of this poll, and I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for everybody, is you say nobody picked B. Who was B? Garrett Nussmeier. And who was D, my favorite? Our backup quarterback, Michael Van Buren. So listen, Dante Moore, he was A. He's looking like one of the best, if not the best quarterback in college football right now, leading the Oregon Ducks. He looks great. DJ Lagway has not been what he was supposed to be. He came in last year after Graham Mertz gets injured. They had some packages where they both played together, but he came in, he throws 5 picks against LSU. Florida only has 1 win, not looking great. And then you look at the 2 LSU guys.
He's also dealing with a ton of. He's definitely injured. You're asking if Nussmeier's injured. Lagway.
There's no question Lagway's injured.
Lagway's got a shoulder injury. He was supposed to have surgery on the offseason and decided not to. He's dealing with a calf strain also, and we know what happens generally when you're dealing with a calf strain.
Yep.
So you can tell he is not. He's definitely injured. He's not what he.
Let's really hope Lagway doesn't start to run on that calf strain, because if he does,
absolutely.
It's going to be Joe Burrow or Kirk Cousins all over again.
Yep.
Listen, look at B and D. Nussmeier got 0 picks. 0. Nobody voted for our boy Nuss. And last year, listen, he ran the offense last year efficiently. He had some deep shots that looked great, and he came into the season as the Heisman favorite. Right now, you can't even bet on Nussmeier for the Heisman because they're not even thinking he's in the realm of possibility. So when you look at Michael Van Buren and you look at what he did last year at Mississippi State, obviously, they choose to go in a different direction. And they have a new regime, so they can make the choices they want. We bring him into LSU. Looking at the numbers he put up last year, looking what he did against Southeastern, and if Nuss is really hurt, so bad that he can't throw the ball more than 40 yards, why is MVB not seeing the field? At this point, like, what do you have to lose? You just lost against Ole Miss. You have a bye week this week. If Nuss can't come back this next week against South Carolina, and he's not 100% healthy and confident in his, ability to run the offense, he should not touch the field because he's actively hurting your team. What do teams do? What do athletic directors do when the coach is actively hurting their program? They fire him. They get him out of there. In the NFL, if a quarterback is not living up to the standard, you saw this with Russell Wilson in Denver. He got a bag to go to the Broncos. Within 2 years, he's gone. They're paying $65 million in dead cap because he just wasn't what they needed. The great part about this is college. You're not paying these guys $65 million. Yeah, there's some NIL deals. Yeah, you're paying them a little bit, but you're not paying them $65 million to be the face of your franchise for 5 years. All this is an ego issue. You don't want to take the guy that you put 18 on, and you don't want to sit him on the bench because he's not performing. Guess what? Too bad. That's my thoughts on it. Moving on from the quarterback, we have another issue with LSU, and it's BK is BS. Okay? Listen, before he started, I already had my feelings about the guy. Never was super positive on him. I did not want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Over the past couple of years, he's grown on me a little bit because we've won games. We've been a little bit more fun with what Jaden Daniels did, with the turnaround we've seen on the defensive side of the ball, with our ability to compete with higher level programs when we beat Alabama, when we went against Georgia in the SEC championship. Like, he had grown on me a little bit, and I was like, okay, maybe we can do something right. Incorrect. Here's my thing with BK. He's beating the table with his fist saying, we're doing the same damn thing. We're talking about the same damn thing. Yeah, we are, BK, and it's your fault. Okay? When your players keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's because the coach is coaching the same thing over and over and over again. You have to bring it all the way up the food chain. You have to go to the top and say, what are we doing wrong that's not flowing down to the bottom? And that's what's happening right now. BK is not holding himself accountable, therefore the players aren't holding themselves accountable. BK is not blaming himself and getting better, therefore the players aren't blaming themselves and getting better. Listen, I'm not saying we need this big doom and gloom culture in the building where everybody hates themselves and everything sucks. What I'm saying is you have to realize where you're making mistakes and build on those, and that's not happening because we're seeing the same product week after week after week. So if you ask me what's the problem right now in Baton Rouge, listen, stadium's 20 minutes down the road from me. I could drive there right now if I wanted to. What's the problem in Baton Rouge? It all starts at the top. It all starts with the head coach here paying $10 million a year to come down from Notre Dame, and he starts with my family, and he makes a fake Southern accent at a basketball game and thinks he can come right in and do whatever he wants. Is he working in the transfer portal? Absolutely. Are we getting Louisiana cats in the building? Absolutely. But what else do we have? We have 5 stars flipping. We have guys going to other programs and then shining. Look at Bryce Underwood. You're telling me Bryce Underwood wouldn't be better than Nussmeier right now? Absolutely. He would be better than Nussmeier right now. But he didn't stay. I don't care if he got $12.5 or $15 million to leave. You should not want to leave a school you were committed to for 2 years, 6 months before enrollment. That should not happen. You should have a strong enough relationship within that program to say, no, I did this, I made this choice, and I'm going to see it through. But again, we don't have the culture in the building to do that. I just don't understand why we have an injured quarterback running a stagnant offense who can't call plays, and we expect something different. That's the definition of insanity, man. Doing the same thing over and over and over and over and expecting a different result. And that's what we've been doing the past 2 weeks. Listen, here's how it is. If you come out of this bye week and you don't show something against South Carolina, it truly has to be a make or break for Brian Kelly. If he cannot come out of this bye week against South Carolina and score 35 points, or Garrett Nussmeier can't throw for 250 and 3, or our run game can't get over 100 yards on the ground, that's when you go into the building, if you're Scott Woodward, and you say, okay, I have to figure this out. Is he our guy? Because it's better to cut ties now.
Uh-oh. You went mute on us. Uh-oh.
Still out.
Oh, man. He said he was right down the street from the stadium. They cut him off.
Just to carry on, like, while he's trying to fix that, the Brian Kelly thing is interesting, right? Like, I've tweeted out the
My
other day.
bad.
I'm not no. Okay, go ahead.
There you-
Keep talking.
There
Then.
we go. It died, and I revived it. Y'all,
I was
what
filling it.
did y'all talk about while I was gone?
No, I was about to fill in the blank space while you fixed it out.
No,
But
yeah.
you go ahead.
It-
I'm not the LSU fan. You are, so keep going.
Listen, if you want to talk about what we've done so far this season, we have a win against a 1-win Clemson team. We have a win against a 1-win Florida team. We had a struggling win against the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, and our one game we looked good was against an FCS program from Hammond, America. And who was our quarterback in that game that looked better than the other one? Michael Van Buren. So it all comes back to the start. Quarterback and head coach. Those are the two most important positions when it comes to football. Do you have a head coach and a quarterback who are on the same page, who want to win, and can execute what they're trying to do? You look at two guys who maybe aren't the most talented in the world, but execute their game plan and have won season after season because of it. Here's an example. Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. When you heard Dan Campbell's first press conference, you never thought the Lions were going to be good. When you saw Jared Goff get kicked out of Los Angeles because they wanted Matthew Stafford instead, you never thought they were going to be good. Took them one season to turn it around and make the playoffs 2 years in a row and get a 1 seed. That's not happening here in college. That's not happening here in Baton Rouge. What we're seeing is the same thing over and over and over, and there is no upside. Something has got to change. That is the key to this. Something has got to change. You cannot keep doing what you're doing or staying on track or 85 to 90% of our game plan is fine. No. Not true. You've got to figure it out now, and if you don't figure it out now, you're gone. Because Nussmeier's gone after this year. He can't play another year. We have got to develop Michael Van Buren or find a guy who can make it work. Blake Baker, give him a lifetime contract. Do what Nike did with Jordan and with Kobe and with LeBron. Give him a lifetime contract. For that guy to hold an Ole Miss offense to 24 points after having a huge negative time of possession. I mean, they were on the field 35 minutes, which is not what you want, especially in the first half when you got Whit Weeks throwing up on the field. Defenses looked phenomenal. I understand they had their challenges this week. Chambliss looked great. But that's what's going to happen when your defense is on the field for 35 minutes in the SEC matchup and your offense has zero momentum and can't score points. Like, your defense can't put the entire game on their backs. And that's what they had to do against Ole Miss. Blake Baker, I don't care what it takes. You have got to keep him in that building. And if you keep performing like this, he's gone. He's going to find a head coaching job somewhere else. Or, with where LSU's at right now, there's programs above us that might want him as their DC, and he might get paid more money to go to a different program. So, you have got to really lock in what you want to do. A former co-host of Off the Dome Sports Podcast back in the Gap, his name was Reese, and we talked about it this week. And, we said, listen, if LSU cannot if they lose against Vandy and South Carolina the next 2 weeks after this bye week, Brian Kelly's gone, Blake Baker's the interim. And if he can prove that he's what LSU needs, you give him his contract. That's what it is. I just can't see us keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting to get any better than what we are right now. So I'm going to stop, let you guys talk about LSU if you know anything or if you want to say anything. After that, we'll move on to our final segment, getting off my soapbox.
I think that there has been while there is a glaring issue at LSU with the offense, I do think there has been a lot of overreaction. Not in the sense of saying that, we've got to make changes here or there, but there's been an overreaction in saying, oh, now we're only going 7-5 or we're 6-6 team and stuff like that. This team still has the pedigree to make it to the college football playoffs. There are some things that have to change to make that happen. I'm not discrediting that. However, there is a huge overreaction. It has been one loss. Granted, the wins have not looked good, it is still only one loss. These are things that I know several people have been yelling from the mountaintops since last year. Hey, we've got to fix X, Y, and Z. I think Z got fixed, which was part, the defensive side. X and Y being, decision making and run blocking or blocking period have to get fixed. Pass blocking honestly has not been as bad as people make it out to be.
No, listen. People, here's what people don't understand about our offensive line is it is a complete overhaul. It's not like it was the same offensive line who lost one piece. We lost Emory Jones and we lost Will Campbell, who were three-year starters on our offensive line, the leaders of that offensive line room. And now you have true freshmen coming in. You have guys breaking their nose during warm-ups. Like, this is not some offensive line who has some standard of success that has been met year after year. This is a whole new group. And if you know anything about playing offensive line, you can have 5 really talented guys who suck when they come together. Offensive line is about chemistry. It's about understanding the offense, understanding schemes, and working with your coaches to be ready for game day. So for them to come in and do that this year, they have been a lot better than what people think they would be.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, yep. I think just listen, here's how I sum it up in 3 sentences. You suck, take accountability, get better. That's what we've got to do right now. I know it could be an overreaction. I know, it's only one game, but my problem is that it's not only one game that we're seeing the same things. Maybe it's just one game where the result was the same. But we're seeing the same things, wins, losses. So we've got to figure out a way to turn it around, make some changes. And I think my biggest problem with it is you're right. This team has all the talent in the world to be a college football playoff team. A lot of people picked us to make the college football playoff. We had talking heads picking us to win the national championship. And the talent has not been prevalent enough to show that they are good enough to win any college football playoff game, let alone a national championship. So we've got to make the talent match the product on the field. All right, listen, I'm going to get off the soapbox for sure now. We'll talk about LSU again next week when it comes to South Carolina taking on Lenora Sellers and Shane Beamer. All right, let's get into our road to the playoffs. Every week to end the show, we do 5 games that could have major college football playoff implications around the country. We've already talked about 3 of them a little bit, so we'll start with those 3. First game, Mississippi State versus Texas A&M, going into College Station. 16.5-point underdogs are the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I love what they're doing this year. They took Tennessee to the brink, and they've won every other game. They're playing really, really well. Blake Shapen's great. I think his name is Libby. I think that's the coach's name. He's building some success in that program. They're starting to get recruits. I like what they're doing in Starkville, so give me Mississippi State to cover 16.5.
Yeah, the same. That was my road dog, so I'm going to go with Mississippi State also covering plus 16.5.
Yeah. I like Mississippi State to cover. We talked about this one on our show on Wednesday. I think that Mississippi State is definitely rebuilding. I think they covered the whole emotional game they had last week. I think is going to come back to bite them. I think this one is close, but I think that's where they fall short. Trying to get up 2 games in a row. Yeah, that's going to hurt them.
I got you. Yep.
I'll ride with y'all on that one too.
Next one we kind of covered a little bit. I know where your feelers are, Dave. Miami and Florida State, 4.5 points. They're giving Miami the win there, and I'll follow suit. I mean, Miami to me has been the best team in the country this year. They've played high-level competition. They've made it count. Carson Beck hasn't played his best game yet, and they're still winning games because of the offensive and defensive line. And it is shown in every asset of football. If you can win in the trenches, you can win the football game. And I think Miami's doing that really well. Reuben Bain Jr. has potential to be number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So I'm going to roll with the Canes.
I said mine already.
Yeah, I think last week was the classic look ahead game, and this just happens to be the game they were looking ahead to with Florida State. I like Miami. I think Miami is probably a more talented team right now, but I think this game is. I think Florida State edges this one barely, barely. If they do, they barely get it.
Are you taking them to cover the spread, win outright, or both?
Win outright, but barely win it. If they, I mean, when I say barely win it, I mean like score at the last minute, go for 2 to win it, kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I got the same thing as you. I think after last week, I just think Florida State's not going to lose back to back. I think they want that revenge for that loss last week, and they're just going to come in and just punch them in the mouth. So I think they're going to win too. So we'll see, but definitely take the points for that. I would take them plus 4.5, but like them to win outright as well.
When we talked a little bit, go for it.
So I was going to say their offense is for real. Like their defense is terrible. There's no doubts about it. Their defense is awful, but their offense is for real. Gus Malzahn has them running a really good offense. So, like, it wouldn't surprise me if Florida State won. I lean better team. Also, a little bit of a homer pick.
I mean, listen, Castellanos is like a more physical and more confident Kyler Murray, the way he plays football. I think he's really good. Moving on to another game we already kind of covered. It was Abdul's pick, even though he's not here. Virginia and Louisville. Louisville 6.5-point favorites against a Virginia team who just beat those very same Florida State Seminoles. I like Virginia to cover that line. Like you said, Chandler Morris, coming out of North Texas, goes to Virginia, and he's kind of taken a program that hasn't done anything the past few years and putting him in the top 25. So I like the Cavaliers to go ahead and cover that 6.5 against the Cardinals. And I think I'll even take them to win outright.
I said the same.
Yeah, me too. I just think Virginia's a much better team, but the 6.5 does scare me because my pick was Illinois versus Indiana, and that did not go very well. So the 6.5 scares me, but I'm gonna take that cover too, and I think they can win outright as well. But definitely
Illinois.
Dude, that game killed me.
Can I say something about Illinois?
Go
I
for it.
I feel like if you lose by 50 at any point in the season, you should no longer be allowed to be ranked. That's just a take
Fair.
I have.
Yeah,
Okay?
100%.
I don't care who it is. I don't care who you lost to, where they end up ranked in the season. You shouldn't be allowed to be ranked anymore.
Even if you're like number 19 South Florida and you have to go into Athens, Georgia, if you lose by 40, you're not ranked. I don't care.
That's worse than Notre Dame being ranked at 1 and 2 or whatever they were, or 0 and 2 and being ranked.
Yeah, what are we?
Yeah,
Listen, we say it every week. The AP poll is the worst thing about college football. The absolute worst.
Don't be mistaken. Notre Dame's going to be in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, but still, at that point in time, they should not have been ranked.
No,
right.
Like let's actually reflect what's on the field, not what the name brand says.
Yep.
Our second to last game here. We already talked about DJ Lagway. Well, he's at home taking on another guy who was a Heisman favorite in Arch Manning. 2 underperforming teams for this year. Texas is 5.5-point favorites going into the Swamp. And I like them to cover that 5.5. Florida has not shown me anything to prove that they can beat a team like Texas, whose defense, although, Texas hasn't been as great as they're supposed to be, I think that's a lot of offensive issues there. Their defense is still playing great. Anthony Hill Jr. should be a first-round pick on the defensive side of the ball. Give me the Texas Longhorns to cover against the Florida Gators.
Yeah, I like that as well. That is the most scary game for me though, because Arch Manning could just go shit the bed like he usually does against big teams. So we'll see how that goes. But I do think Texas covers, but that one does scare me a little bit, especially being in this.
I agree. I'll take Texas as well, but Florida's very similar to LSU, where if it clicks for them, they've got Florida's defense is just as good as LSU's defense.
I can't believe you just said that out loud.
Listen,
you're right. You're right. I know you're right, and everything you're saying is correct. But the knife through the heart right there.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to do that to you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's like Lagway's the better quarterback if he's healthy. It's not even close, if you ask me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
If they're both at their peak. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a very similar story between the two teams. So it does scare. I say that to say it also scares me that if for some reason it does click for Florida, I don't think it does, but if it does, they could beat Texas. But I'm gonna take Texas as well, and I don't know what the over under is in that game, but I'm taking the under also.
It's
Yeah.
42.5.
That's two
Yep.
really good defenses.
And the
Yep.
line did drop to -4.5 for Texas instead of 5.5.
I'll still take
Yep.
them to cover that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Listen, I'm gonna say this one comment, and we're gonna move on after it. If you switch Brian Kelly and Billy Napier, because Billy Napier was a really big, hot candidate for LSU when we hired Brian Kelly. If you switch those situations, the teams are in the same predicament that they're in right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Moving on to our very last game, Vandy and Bama. I think it's the only matchup this week where both teams are ranked in the top 25. The Miami and Florida
Miami.
State game as well.
Florida State.
Excuse me. I kind of forgot Florida State after last week is still ranked, but they should be. That's on me. Sorry, AP poll. Listen, Bama and Vandy was a great game last year. Diego Pavia, got to show off what he is and who he is. Clark Lee has taken a Vandy program who got 2 wins every season and made them, a solid team in the SEC who could beat LSU in 2 weeks in Nashville. Gosh, I need to stop talking about LSU. But Vandy could, make some noise in the SEC. The line as of this morning when I checked it, and you can double check me on what the line is right now, was 12.5.
Yep. Still right there.
In favor of Bama. It's tough because you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at, Vandy won that game last year, so they're coming in with all the confidence in the world, and Bama looks vulnerable, and you can point to a Vandy win there, but it's also like Bama just beat Georgia. It's 2 different teams. Ty Simpson looks great, and Bama wants their lick back. And if you look at what happened, a few years ago when Vandy came on TV and they were like, "Oh, Bama, you're next," and then Bama beat them by 59. I don't think this is a 59-point game, but it's hard to look at. It really is hard to look at name values and think that Vandy's going to beat Bama. The line's 12.5. I think that's a really good line. I think that's right around where we could see is that 10 to 15 point mark. But I don't want the screaming tiger in me that bleeds purple and gold cannot pick Bama. Just can't do it. Maybe logic points there, maybe the emotion points there, but I do not care. My emotion goes into Nashville, Tennessee, takes Clark Lee and Diego Pavia. They go in to Bryant-Denny Stadium and not only cover the spread, but win it 2 years in a row. Give me the Commodores.
Yeah. Give me Diego Pavia and them boys. I'm riding with you.
Love it.
I do have a bet in on this game, and it's Vandy outright. I also have a Diego Pavia Heisman ticket sitting in there.
Oh, geez.
So, listen,
not impossible.
It's not impossible. Listen, we're throwing darts, right? We're trying to hit these Heisman.
Diego
things.
Pavia has a better chance of winning the Heisman than Garrett Nussmeier does, and that's
true.
what's
At the time I took him, he was like top 5 odds. I think he's dropped maybe a little bit then, but no, give me Vandy. I have no other reason other than I like Diego Pavia. But Bama's been humming a little bit lately. They're not the team that lost to Florida State week 1, but it's just a gut thing, honestly. That's all it is.
To me, it's not close. Bama's winning by at least 24 points.
That's fair.
I don't see it happen. I know
That's
I hate
fair.
Bama more than anyone. I promise you, I hate Bama. But yeah, I have to. I think Bama covers our spread easily. I just think after last year, Bama's gonna want that revenge. Bama's been looking great. They looked great last week. Ty Simpson's looking hell of a lot better than I thought he would look this season. So I just think it's not close. I think Bama wins by 24 plus.
Yeah.
No, you're 100% right. Like I'm gonna at halftime, we're gonna check the score and it's 38-7. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to be right. I'm here to give hot takes. So I'll take Vandy. I'll crawl in a little hole
every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're me, you go out on a limb every week and miss every bet you make, but it's okay. It's fine. That's why you don't throw $1,000 on a bet. You just throw 5s and 10s and hope something hits to make your money back.
There you go.
No, listen, this is, other than my mic getting tired of me talking about how bad Brian Kelly and Garrett Nussmeier are. I think it was a good show. I think we had fun. Dave, we appreciate you stopping in for the first time and hope we see your face again. Obviously, Abdul couldn't be here today with CST, but we still got some good talk about the Cajuns and talking about college football statewide here in the boot. That's what we're here for. If you love, watching this show or you love your great state of Louisiana, make sure to check out @BeinTheKnow on social media. Make sure to check out theknow.com where we're putting out podcasts and content about every single Louisiana team you can think of. Not only every team, but every sport too. I mean, if you want Pelicans, we're here. They played in Australia the other night. Somebody talked about it. If you want to talk about LSU against Ole Miss last week, somebody talked about it. If you want to talk about Tulane, if you want to talk about, just nationwide happenings in the world of sports, we're not only sticking to Louisiana, we know ball over here. So make sure to check us out on all of our social medias. Make sure to check out theknow.com where you can read articles and find out more about us as people. So we thank you very much for watching this. I want to say thank you to you guys for coming on here and talking about college football with me. We will be back next Saturday when our teams are back from byes, and hopefully we can see more W's in the boot. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.